Hey everyone, Michelle Alexandria coming at you with another video. Today, finally, Michelle has come back to YouTube. So anyway, let me stop. This is my impressions video of the Sony A95L. So anyway, I've had this video, that's enough of my bad rock puns. I've had this TV for about a month and a half. I did two separate videos on two key areas that I want to talk about. I'm just going to talk about them briefly during this talk. But I did a separate video on Bravia Core and how well this TV upscales. So this video should go relatively quickly. Anyway, not to waste your time, I'm going to come right out and say it. I love this TV, but I'm returning it because $5,000 for a TV is ridiculous, and I actually can't afford it. So, I'm not a baller. I love all these wannabe ballers who are like, "Hey, I pay $8,000 for a TV." I'm like, no. If this TV was $5,000 better than its nearest counterpart, I would be like, yes, all day, every night. But it's not $5,000 better than its nearest counterpart. It is better, but it's not $5,000 better. And the problem with this TV is it's been a really buggy experience that drove me insane for the first couple of weeks. Because again, I don't like talking about price, because the price is the price is the price. Either you want to spend it or you don't want to spend it. So harping on the price seems silly and stupid. But from my perspective, everything about this TV is colored by that price. When the nearest competitor TV is $2,000 cheaper, was $2,000 cheaper, and you can get a TV that gets to about 90% of what this TV can do for $2,600 cheaper. That's a huge difference, and everything is colored from that perspective. So every time I had an issue with this TV, I'm like, yeah, I'm loving this TV, but suddenly it literally crashed on me. It literally crashed on me during the first 2 weeks about 8 or 9 times. Literally crashed on me, where it had a hard crash. I'm sitting here watching it, enjoying it, and I'm like, oh yeah, sunshine and puppies. This is really nice. I'm feeling it, okay, I'm feeling it, and then it would crash. And I'm like, this TV cost me $5,000. It's going back. And that was my experience with this TV for the last month. It would either do hard crashes, or the audio would drop out, causing me to do a hard reset, and audio would drop out about 3 times a day. I finally got all of that set in the last 4 days. And in the last 4 days, the TV has performed like a dream, actually. No audio dropouts, no hard crashes. And I'm like, okay, I see you, Sony. But I never watched it. For the first 3 weeks of having this TV, I never watched that one piece of content that made me go, wow, this is stunning. I did not see that piece of content until like maybe 5 days ago. And the reason why is the majority of my content actually is I've been watching an insane number of K-dramas lately. So for the last 3 months, I think I've been watching K-dramas almost exclusively, which is ridiculous because it has so many TV shows I'm supposed to review, and I haven't because, I've been watching K-dramas. So I got to stop that and get back to what I'm supposed to be doing. I have to watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and a bunch of other Amazon stuff that's coming up in the next month. So I have to get back on that stick. But yeah, so I've been watching a lot of K-dramas, and the problem with K-dramas is the quality, the cinematography on these shows are really kind of old school, and you're not going to get much benefit from watching them on a TV like this, because everything's going to just kind of look waxy. It is going to look waxy, and the faces are going to look waxy. It's going to look a lot of it's going to look overblown and too white and things of that nature. So when you're watching that kind of drama, those kind of shows, you're not going to see the the true potential of this TV. However, I was like, okay, enough of this K-drama crap. Let me watch some real content. So I watched the first episode of Ashoka on Disney Plus 4 nights ago. And that opening sequence, when the title starts crawling, and you see the ship, the starship, coming across the screen, it was wow. That was the first time I watched anything on this TV where I truly was like, okay, I get it. I see why this TV is so expensive and why everyone says it's the best TV money can buy. Because in that moment, I was mesmerized by how gorgeous the show could look. In that 4K Dolby Vision, I was just blown away. It was stunning. And then I watched a little bit of One Piece on Netflix. It's a show I just can't get into. It is a show that here. Let me put on some background content here. One Piece is a show I just can't get. I'm struggling to get into, but on this TV, that show has a lot of dark, some scenes that are dark, and this TV does an amazing job on shadow details, and it has the best shadow details of any TV I've ever seen. And the most impressive thing about this TV that makes it so good is, I know people always talk about the processing, how amazing the processing is, and personally I think that's a little overblown, but I will give the devil their due. This TV, I have not had a single issue with macro blocking or pixelation at all. Like, watching YouTube content or any kind of streaming content has just been a dream on this TV. Not a single issue at all in that area. Like with the Samsung S95C and even this S90, I would watch a lot of content, and it would be barely watchable because it was breaking up so bad, and the black crush was so bad on the S95C. Not so much on the S90C, but definitely the S95C. It was really bad. And the LG G3 is the TV that got closest to the Sony A95L in terms of how it handled pixelation and macro blocking and all that kind of, those fine kind of smooth gradation kind of details. I thought the LG G3 came closest to the Sony, where the Sony A95 was like 100% clean, where I've never seen a single issue with macro blocking. It's amazing when you think about it. In all the content I watched, I haven't had a single issue of macro blocking on this TV. Whereas on the LG G3, you would see it once every few days. You would see it once or twice every couple of days. On the S95C, you would see it all the time on nearly everything you watch. So yeah, for that reason alone, it would almost be worth keeping the TV for me. And I know people are worried about the SR Clear, and I'm not sure if I'm a believer in that technology, but I will say, yeah, the picture is absolutely clean. It is super clean. There's a lot of 3D draw to it, which I really appreciate. And one of the reasons why I got rid of the S90C was the lack of Dolby Vision and the fact that I thought the picture was flat. Although I thought the picture on the S90C was better than S95C. But both TVs, and I talked about the S90C because that's the TV I'm getting back tomorrow. Although, as I talk about this, I may end up keeping this TV. Quiet as it kept. I'm still on the fence. I'm still on the fence because 3 weeks ago, when this TV was driving me insane, I put in actually return this TV, and every time the date came up for Best Buy to come out, I'm like, well, I'm busy this week. Come back next week. And I've done this for 3 weeks now. So yeah, I'm still on the fence as to whether or not I'm going to keep it. I love this TV. It's just, It's a $2,500 difference between the S90C and this TV. And $2,500 is a nice chunk of change. To put it in perspective, I owe $2,000 for my car. It's the final. I have $2,000 left on my car loan. I could take that $2,500 and just pay off my car and be done with my car. I could do that. I just booked the cruise yesterday. Cruise was $2,600. Are you starting to see where, $2,600 is a hell of a lot of money in terms of, for not much of a huge increase in picture quality? Then I know, but I also know myself. I know I'm going to get that S90C in, and I'm going to be like, oh man, there's pixels. It's flat again. The image is flat again, and it's going to drive me nuts. And then the other thing about this TV is everyone raves about the audio on this TV, and I think that's way, way, way overhyped. Let me put it again. Way overhyped. The built-in audio on this TV, I was expecting something to be blown away by the audio based on all the critic reviews and all the critics saying, hey, you don't need a soundbar or anything with this TV, and that is utter tripe. It is tripe, people. I'm trying to get away from saying BS. I'm trying to grow up in 2024, so I'm going to start saying tripe. It's tripe. Because the audio on this TV is pretty tinny, and you really have to turn the volume way up in order to really start going, oh yeah, okay, now the audio is great. But that's the case with any TV, honestly. I mean, other than the Samsung S95C and the LG G3, which were just had awful, awful, awful built-in audio. But the S90C audio, built-in audio is on par with this. The TCL QM8 audio, built-in audio is on par on this. I mean, you turn any audio, TV audio up to 60 or 70, on the volume level, you're going to get some nice bass and all that kind of stuff. So in that respect, I don't think the Sony A95L is any better than any of those TVs in terms of audio. The one thing I really enjoy about this TV, which is another reason why I may keep it, is the settings. I'm still getting around. I'm still figuring out the settings on the Sony TV, since it's my first Sony TV owned in quite a while. But the settings on the TV are really, I mean, you could do a lot with the settings on this TV. It has everything. It has pretty much, you can set everything you want with this TV, and I really like it's overly busy. I think the settings are overly busy. There are 3 or 4 different ways you can actually get into the settings menu from the remote. I don't know if I particularly like the fact that if you click the pictures and sound button, it opens up this instead of just letting you set the pictures and sound from wherever. But I do like the fact that you can view your changes in real time. At least on on Apple TV, if you actually watch this using the Netflix app, for some reason it pauses when you're making changes, which is annoying. But here it's nice because you can go in, you set your content type, you can do your game mode, your games, all that kind of stuff. I'm not enamored with the gaming picture settings. You go to picture setup and you do all of this stuff. So you have a lot of options with your pictures. You can do single overrides from right here, whereas on the LG TV or something, you got to go into the Apple TV menu to change something, or you have to go into a secret menu to set your BTE 2020 space if you really want to use that. But I generally just use Auto or Adobe RGB. I use that sometimes, but BTE 2020. Ooh, look at all that red. Ooh, that was red. That was red, people. You could do always on HDR mode, which is nice. This TV is one of the only TVs that's done Dolby Vision right that I've seen all year, which is annoying because every TV I've seen this year, Dolby Vision has been broken, quote unquote broken, whereas it relies too much on been accurate as opposed to like a home view. Like a home viewer wants their TV to be bright and punchy and all that good stuff. Calibrators want their TVs to be accurate, I think. And the problem is Dolby Vision. The people at Dolby Vision have erred on the side of actually doing things. Has erred on the side of making everything making everything accurate, which basically translates into me saying it looks washed out and looks dark and washed out on every TV I've seen except this TV. This TV originally Dolby Vision looked like that, but I was able to find a setting in a happy medium on Dolby Vision Bright that I really liked. So now I have that perfect picture setting with Dolby Vision Bright, and I gotta say Dolby Vision Vivid, and even Vivid mode on this TV, with the few amount of tweaks, looks stunning. Looks absolutely stunning. With just a few minor tweaks to Vivid mode, you could get an amazingly bright, punchy, but color accurate picture, quote unquote accurate picture, out of this TV in Vivid, and it's like, wow, that's when you really truly get it. When you really truly go, okay, this TV truly is next gen. Stop the presses is everything I want. The other thing I really enjoy about this TV is the white point. This TV does pure white better than any TV I've ever seen, except the G3. G3 does pure white really well. It's really great as well. But the G3 is the only LG OLED that does white, pure white, very well. This TV takes that and it makes pure white really shine, like literally shine. Again, this goes back to Ashoka. When I watched that opening sequence of Ashoka, where I was really sold on this TV, was that opening shot. And then there was the shot where Ashoka does the thing with the lightsabers, where she lands on the grate, and all of that has kind of like a pure white background a little bit, and the ground, there's just a lot of 3D draw to it that I'm just in awe. You know what? I'm keeping this TV because I also love the remote. I love the remote. The remote feels solid. It's solid in my hands. I love the fact that it's a lighted remote. It feels really nice. I'm like, oh man, I just talked myself into keeping this TV. And that's what happens when you we do unscripted videos, people. That's what happens when you do unscripted videos. You end up talking yourself in or out of something. As I think about it, and this is a stream of consciousness video for me, people. So anyway, gaming on this TV. Gaming has been really good, if not sometimes a little flaky. Let's say that in the sense that I've played a couple of PS5 games and I used the automated settings for it, and I was trying to find. I had a game. Oh, I was like, I had a game. Oops. I had a game, people. I purposely played a new game to upload for this video. Here we go. So I had a game. I used the PS5 and I used the built-in like auto set feature. So what happens is there's a setting in this TV where supposedly if you can tell the TV to automatically set your PS5 to the best settings possible. And I thought the settings were terrible. It made the games look really overly dark and drabby, and I didn't like it at all. So I actually ended up turning that feature off. And then there were a couple of times where games were so dark, I actually felt like I had to go outside of game mode. And once I went outside of game mode, the brightness came back. I don't play heavy Twitch-based games. I have arthritis in my hands, so I generally don't play games like fighting games or anything that requires like instant response time, because it just hurts my hands anyway. Like this little bit of gameplay killed my hands. But that's what I do for you people. That is what I do for you people. So yeah. So yeah, I actually had to go outside of game mode to actually get the colors and the brightness back to my games that I really wanted to play. But this is actually in-game mode. But yeah, I felt like game mode was just really limiting in terms of how I set my pictures. And I'm still playing around with trying to figure out how to do that and get all my color back. But as you can see on this, even though the video is probably over exaggerating, it still looks really kind of washed out, and I can't figure out how to get my brightness levels back. I must have done something in the settings to mess that up. But yeah, I don't like the way this picture looks at all, really. And then here, let me put on a little bit of Prince of Persia. And the other thing I don't like about this TV is, and it's petty because again, I'm not a super gamer, so honestly, I don't know why I care about this anymore. But the fact that it doesn't, oh, that's terrible. Let me turn that off. That's hideous. Let me see if I can find something in the water does not compute. That's an old. If you get that reference, you know. Something in the water does not compute here. So that is not the Sony game bar. That's the game bar from something else. But actually, you can always see the difference in picture quality too, because this is from my Samsung S95C review, and as you can see, look how cartoony the picture looks in the background. Like there's yellow. You can't. On the Samsung TVs, it was really hard for me to get like a pure white because everything just looked yellow and it had like a yellow tint no matter what I did to the picture. I couldn't get rid of that. On the Sony, you don't have that at all. And you can actually, when I'm looking at this, I can see how terrible the draw distance is as well. Yeah, I'm keeping this TV. I don't want to go back to this. I can't go back to this. Now that I look at this, I'm like, oh my God, ugh. That looks terrible. That looks really terrible. But yeah, so from a gaming standpoint, I'm still salty about the fact that this TV does not have 4 HDMI 2.1 ports, and I think that's criminal for, again, a $5,000 TV, not including taxes. So you include taxes, this TV cost me $5,400. You see, when I say that price, now I'm like, okay, the S90C is looking attractive to me now. When I say that price out loud, $5,400, that S90C becomes more and more attractive to me. $5,400. If I keep saying it, I'm gonna be like, you know what? Do the smart thing, Michelle. Do the smart thing. Get the S90C. Oh, the other thing that was galling about all the issues with this TV, especially with the audio, is I do have a Sony soundbar. I'm using the Sony F9 or whatever. It's like actually at this point, this is like a 4-5-year-old soundbar. I keep coming back to the soundbar because the Vizio soundbar I had was terrible. But I was like, since I have a Sony TV, I might as well have all the Sony stuff. So even though I am a Sony hater, an unabashed Sony hater, I have all Sony stuff. So I'm allowed to be a Sony hater because I had the Sony TV, I had the Sony soundbar, I had the PS5, I have a Sony camcorder, a Sony camcorder. So I'm in the bad for Sony, and I hate them. And I don't know why I keep buying their crap. But yeah, I get suckered in all the time. But as I talk about this, I am leaning towards keeping this TV because, like I said, just looking at this Batman image just makes me go, ooh, I don't want to go back to this. There was a reason why I returned the S95C. And the only reason why I returned the S90C was the simple fact that, again, the S90C, I'm trying to find something to throw in the background, or I could just finish this video. But the only reason why I returned the S95C was why. I don't remember why I returned it. Because of the Dolby Vision. And honestly, I've come to the conclusion that Dolby Vision just sucks. Dolby Vision just sucks, man, and that's disappointing. That this year Dolby Vision has been so terrible that it just hasn't been worth going through the drama and the hassle. But this TV, every time I start to love this A95L, it catfishes me because then suddenly I end up getting audio dropouts and everything else, and it frustrates me to no end. Because, like I said, when it works, it's brilliant. But when it doesn't, it makes the problem seem like 1,000 times worse. Like, again, I was trying to watch Oppenheimer on 4K on my 4K UB8 player just the other night, and I couldn't watch it because I couldn't get the audio to sync properly on that disc, and it was driving me nuts. And I was trying to watch V, The Final Battle, which is always my palate cleanser, and the thing I test new TVs with. So I was trying to watch that like 4 nights ago, and again, I could not. And the DVD upscaling on that was, oh my God, it looked the best I've ever seen it on this TV. I was like mesmerized. And it's V, The Final Battle, so the movie's like 30 years old, but they just had an HD Blu-ray come out last year, which wasn't all that great of a transfer upgrade. But I was watching that, and I was like, oh my God, this is stunning. And then they opened their mouths, and it was out of sync, and I couldn't get it to sync, and it was driving me insane. So I just threw my hands up, turned it off, and then the same thing happened with Oppenheimer. When I was watching Oppenheimer, and Oppenheimer was like, wow, this like when you watch the first couple of minutes of it, and you see the explosion, and you see all of that stuff in the first few minutes, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm in heaven. This is my dream TV right here. And then they open their mouths, and it's out of sync. And I had to restart and reboot everything, and I never could get it to properly sync. And I'm like, oh my God. And I played with the settings, so many different settings on the audio setup. And I think I finally got it to where I can at least get the apps, the audio to work in the apps where it syncs perfectly fine in the apps. But I had to turn off all the features, audio features, in order to at least get the apps to work on the Apple TV and on the built-in apps. I got it to work by turning off all the audio features, but I can't get it to work with my Blu-ray player, and I can't get it to work with my Blu-ray player, and I can't get it to work on a consistent basis with my Blu-ray player. Like sometimes it'll work. Like last weekend, I had a movie marathon where I watched a bunch of stuff, and it worked perfectly fine. But in the last couple of days, I have not been able to get it to work at all. So I think one of the settings that I changed to get it to work on the apps at least, now suddenly makes it so it won't work on the 4K player. And I'm like, it's a $5,000 TV. I should not have any issues with this. And I don't subscribe to the idea that, oh, all TVs have some issues. There's no perfect TV, so therefore you should not complain and you should just be happy. I'm like, no fucking way. I paid $5,000 for this TV, or in the case of the S90C, I paid $2,600 for that TV. I should not have to settle for issues. Neither should you, neither should anyone. It's ridiculous that people are so blasé-faire about these broken TVs that all have major issues. We're spending a fortune on these TVs, and this is disposable income too. So isn't that like something we're required to have, where we're like hostages and we just have to accept whatever crap these companies shovel at us? No, this stuff should work, and it should meet our expectations. So if I'm paying $5,400 for a TV, I want to be able to sit down, put my feet up, and after a day of working hard and all that kind of stuff, you want to just put your feet up at night and watch a movie, or in my case, watch a K-drama, and not have any issues. You don't want to be fussing with stuff, especially when I look at computers all day and I'm solving, major corporate problems. I don't want that in my personal life. I just want to sit back, put my feet up, have a nice cup of tea, and enjoy what I'm watching. I don't want to be fussing and fighting with stuff all the time. And that's my issue with this TV. And you notice how I'm starting to talk my way into like giving up this TV again. So I'm like simple on this issue. I would probably make a decision tomorrow morning when Best Buy calls me and tells me they're on their way. I'm about 80% sure I may end up keeping this because when I looked at that Batman clip, I was like, oh yeah, that's why. That even though you probably can't see it on camera as well, just looking at it, I'm like, yeah, that's why I didn't like the Samsung QD OLED. That was why. And why I wanted to go back to the LG because of how flat and how cartoony the colors looked, and the fact that I couldn't set the background. I couldn't get a stable white point on the QD OLED at all, and everything just always kind of looked yellow, and I couldn't like fix that. Yeah, I'm starting to remember. I'm remembering now. I'm slowly remembering. I'm remembering why, and that's kind of annoying. So anyway, this video went longer than I wanted to. Now, this rambling video aside, I did 2 other videos. I did one video where I talked about the TV's upscaling, and I showed some clips of the TV upscaling, and I also talked about Bravia Core. 2 other reasons why I love this TV to death. I love the Bravia Core, and I loved how well this TV upscaled. People were not lying when they said this TV does an amazing job of upscaling. Let me preface this. For quad SD material, the TV does not do any better job upscaling than any other TV I've ever seen. It just doesn't. Where the upscaling really comes into play with this TV is when you're watching like a 480p show or something recorded in 720. Then you're like, oh my God, okay. Now it's like, okay, now the Sony processor is doing something. I don't know what it's doing, but it's making that stuff a lot stabler, a lot cleaner than it has any right to be. And you couple that with the fact that there's like no macro blocking or pixelation on anything I've seen on this TV yet. I have not seen any pixelation or macro blocking on any kind of streaming content. You couple that with clean upscaling, then yeah, this TV is something else. But the question you got to ask yourself is, how often do you watch low bitrate content, or content that's 420p and that's 480p and 720p? For me, I don't watch that kind of content all that much, other than again my K-dramas. But the K-dramas have a whole different other set of issues that has nothing to do with that, and that's all about how the poor cinematography and how some of those K-dramas were just shot. And no TV is going to really make that stuff look amazing, honestly. It just makes it look good, but not amazing where you're like, oh my God, yes. But yeah, when like I was watching Dark Angel and The Crow and some other really old school crime story and some old school content over the weekend, and I was just blown away by how really good it looked on this TV. So yeah, if you watch a lot of that type of content, then yeah, this TV is great if you had the money to spare. And again, I keep saying, I obviously had the money to spare because I bought the TV. But it's just frustrating because I'm like, I kind of want to return it just so I can try to get something else in a couple of years. But the problem is, I don't want to be stuck with the S90C and then get an LG G3, G4. Then I'm going to end up spending like $7,000 by the time I get that combo. And I only need one TV. That's the problem. I'm not a TV reviewer, so I only need one TV, one 77-inch TV that's going to serve me for 4 or 5 years. And I feel like no other TV is going to be that TV that's going to serve me for 4 or 5 years, other than I think this TV is the closest, and maybe the G3. But I can't go to the G3 because the G3 has gone back up in price, and I don't think the G3 is a TV that's worth $3,800. I just don't think it's worth that kind of money. At $3,300, yeah, I would have kind of got that TV again. But at $3,800, no. And I'm just physically opposed, mentally opposed to spending more money on a product that I paid a cheaper price for. So I originally had the G3 for $3,200. I'm not going to end up getting that TV again, but paying like $700 more for it. I'm like, no, I can't bring myself to doing that. Even though I love that TV, I'm like, I had it at $3,200. That's the price I want to rebuy it for. I'm not going to rebuy it for $3,800. That's nonsense. So yeah. So I don't know. I didn't expect this video to be so long, and it's rambling too. So sorry about that, people. If you stayed this long, I don't know how you prove it to me that you stayed and watched this entire thing, but there you go. Sony A95L. Is it going back or not? I still don't know. When I started, I'm not going to lie. When I started this video, I was firmly of the belief it was going back. That was going to be my headline, that this TV is going back. Now at the end of it, oh my God, that screenshot, that screensaver looks so good on this TV. You see, occasionally I will see something that makes me go, wow. The problem is, how often do I see this type of content that makes me go, wow? And for snits, here, let me show you what the vivid mode looks like. This is in cinema. But look at that vivid. Look at that glorious. Wow. Wow. I don't know. Every time I watch something vivid on this TV, I'm just like, wow. That's something. That is truly something. But I still don't think this is like the king of TVs or the best TV ever or any. I think part of the problem is all these AV YouTubers have oversold this TV. That's also part of the problem. Oversold the TV, and Sony way overcharged for it. But it is a really good TV. So there's that. So anyway, talk to you guys later. I know I've said that about 8 times in the last 10 minutes, but I mean it this time. Talk to you guys later. Bye.